Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all the news in the world of Zoho. This is episode 278, Practice Makes Perfect, recorded on Friday, November 24th. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Tyler Colt.
And I'm Greg Belnap, and let's get right on into the show.
Alrighty, yes, let us get on into it. So astute viewers or listeners may notice that Greg Belnap is filling in for Brett this week, who is out of office. Thank you, as always, for joining in here, Greg.
Me too, and I plan to bring the same level of unhinged energy that Brett does. So
you always do. You always.
Yes. As you know,
I stay on the hinge, baby. I stay right on the hinge. It's a little snippet Freddie grabbed from this week's Azaz recording. So if anyone wants to go see the source of that, that should be up as of Tuesday. But we do have a pretty busy news week. So without any further ado, let us jump on into announcements and events. All right, so here we are over at Club Zenatta. That is our community forum where you can keep up to date with everything going on in the world of Zoho, ask us questions, get answers, and just have a good old time with some fellow Zoho nerds. So in the world of announcements and events, nothing too crazy this week here on the Zenatta side. We do definitely want to highlight, we are still running our poll here for the 4th annual ZenMe Awards. That is our annual show where we give out awards to the best Zoho apps of various categories. We also look at some of the telephony options and marketplace tools. So make sure to jump on over to club.zenatta.com and get your votes in here. We really do appreciate that. In addition,
we also need to update our ZenMe's logo.
We do need to update the ZenMe's logo. This is non-compliant. This is no longer a spoof on the Zoho logo. So we're going to have to update that. Maybe we'll make the word ZenMe's extremely small and impossible to read.
And then we'll just stack all the letters on top of each other. Like
just perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then outside of that, couple things coming up here. As always, Azaz just released this week. And then throughout December, we'll be doing, of course, the CRM Zen shows, as well as the annual ZenMe's, which I believe will be on this December 29th episode. So that might actually be a little longer than an hour at the end of the day. Well worth tuning in and seeing if your favorite applications get any awards. And yes, if you're wondering, we do actually make trophies and send them to the product managers in India. It takes about a month to get there, but we do actually like sending those out. So make sure to get your votes in and tune in for that special episode there in late December. Again, as I mentioned, we got a busy week here, so let us jump right on into the news. Alrighty, so I was just thinking the other day, it has been such a long time since Zoho put out a new application. It's been what, like a month since FSM came out? So yeah, maybe even less than a month. So here, Zoho is actually releasing a new application called Zoho Practice, the ultimate practice management software. So this is a very specific application made for accounting firms. So not law firms. When I first read Practice, I assumed like a law firm. But nope, this is primarily for accountants. Essentially gives you a way to load in your clients, take in requests from them, take in files from them, and actually create their core reports, their general ledger, their P&L, balance sheet. All that looks like they have some built-in communication tools via Click. Okay. So overall, I mean, pretty cool. I'm always curious where these things come from. FSM made a lot of sense to me. This one, it's interesting. They must have some demand for maybe a big accounting firm, or I'm curious. What's your take, Greg?
Or they recently were working with doing their own taxes, and we're like, oh, there's got to be a better way for their own in-house accounting team, maybe. It looks pretty similar to Liscio. Have you ever
no,
ever used that one before?
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, same kind of thing where it's an in-app messaging platform. Uploading files,
got it.
all that kind of thing. The you can create tasks for both yourself as well as for your client. I know a big thing of the idea behind apps like these is to try to reduce the amount of email communication that you're doing, especially when we're talking, finance documents. Very, you need a high level of security.
True.
And so it's good to have something like this that your clients can interact with rather than them just sending you
sending all their financials.
Here's all my statements and everything like that, just over Gmail.
Yeah. Looks like it's also going to handle some task management and timesheets as well. So if you're an accounting firm and you're billing on an hourly basis, timesheets are all going to be baked in there. Like you mentioned, the document management, which that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Like you have to share a lot with your accountant, right? So ideally, you're not just emailing that over. Pricing wise, I'm not sure that it is. I can see it. It looks like $0 as a free trial for up to 3 users. No idea here on if it's going to be added for Zoho 1, so we'll have to wait and see. Normally that announcement comes a little while after the initial release of a new application. But free trial, so get in there, take a look. If anyone does play around with this a little bit before we have a chance to, go ahead, jump over to club.zenatta.com. Let us know what you think. Freddie, put one on the scorecard for me in terms of promoting Club Zen there. Alrighty, and let us now jump into the next story here. So this is coming over from the world of Zoho Finance Plus, but it's not unique to only people that have the Finance Plus subscription. So this is them introducing a developer portal for Zoho Finance applications. And so you might be thinking, well, I could already do some development inside of the Zoho Finance Suite. What exactly does this do for me? My understanding is really that this is looking more at the ability to build extensions, right? So this isn't like the deluge and things like that. This is if you wanted a widget or a little side panel tool. This kind of opens up the ability to do that. Is that right?
Yeah. So this is not really for, this is made for companies that want to create, something that can be sold to Zoho Finance users to make their books or inventory or expense systems better.
Gotcha.
Because anything that you could do in, this extension builder, you could also just do directly in, creating functions and whatnot inside of your own just Zoho Finance app. Yeah, this is more for those that are looking to create a widget once and then have it work across anyone who wants to download it.
Got it. This is always great. I mean, like we always are, when we're talking to clients, if they need some type of integration or custom functionality, we're always going to check the marketplace first, right? Because it does save people a lot of money if you don't need to rebuild something like this from scratch. So the more the merrier when it comes to development tools in the world of Zoho.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, next story here, jumping out of the world of finance and into the world of marketing. So this is Zoho introducing a budget board for Zoho Marketing Plus. So for those who don't know, Zoho Marketing Plus is a bundle of applications similar to like CRM Plus, except without CRM and with like one extra marketing tool kind of tucked in. So the budget board here is essentially a way to track budget and spend across multiple different marketing channels. This is actually pretty nice if you do omnichannel marketing. Maybe you have some email going out, you have some Google ads, right? You're running ads on Facebook. You want to have a consolidated place to track the budget, right, of all of those, including like trade shows, physical events, things of that nature. So this kind of just gives you a top level tool to manage all that. Looks like they built it into the brand studio, which is currently unique for Marketing Plus. I don't think you can really get that any other way.
Nope. It's only in Marketing Plus.
But yeah, definitely a nice one to have for people that might have a kind of complicated marketing budget and need to be able to manage it all in one place.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and especially because I think with marketing, your budgeting tends to start. You tend to start more with just like a lump sum. And that because marketing, usually your marketing budget is whatever amount is left over after we've covered cost of goods and and met our profit margins. If we have extra stuff, pump it into marketing. And so having a budget board like this, where it's just like, hey, we just got a big lump sum that could change, from year to year. Now that we've got this big number, let's start to plan out how can we divide that number up into different channels.
Yep. And then ideally kind of tracking back the effectiveness of those for budget reallocation. Like a big thing is like, hey, we're going to spend as much as humanly possible on Google Ads until we hit a price of $50 per closed won deal. Then we're going to go and use this other tool and this other tool. So just having one place to kind of manage all of this, definitely a big value add for Marketing Plus users. Alrighty, jumping again out of the world of marketing and into the world of Zoho Creator and Writer. This is an update here communicating that Zoho Writer is now able to use Zoho Creator as a source for mail merge templates. Now, important to keep in mind, like you could always do document generation from within Creator, but it all just had to be in code, right? Kind of manually mapping all the fields. What this is doing, and Greg, let me know if I'm wrong, is essentially adding a similar type of functionality that you'll have in using CRM data to just create a merge template, point it to, a record of some kind inside of Creator, and then automatically pull in all of that relevant data into the document.
Yep, absolutely. So now one of the differences, right, is that in the CRM, you can actually go from within the CRM, go to mail merge templates and creating a template there. This is where you would have to go just to writer.zoho.com and create a new Writer template inside of Writer, which would then be saved to your work drive, and then connect it to Zoho Creator from there. You can select the data source, right? And you can select, do I want to pull from Creator or books or sheet, whatever other options there are. Very similar to now something that you could already do in Zoho Creator with a little less code is record templates. Was another option, right? Where you could essentially create, like, for an individual record inside of a report, you could basically design a PDF of displaying the various data fields using merge tags, things like that. But the big benefit of using Zoho Writer and a merge template is you have advanced fields, like you have more conditional formatting or
signature
aggregate fields.
Yeah, signatures coming in like that, just straight up from Zoho Sign is a big one. Just being able to create these like signable documents from anywhere. It's one thing that, and I see Zoho doing more and more of it, but such a nice feature across all their platform is that they just have Writer as a backend that can be so tightly integrated. Like it's pretty common for companies to have workflows where they're like doing a bunch of work in a CRM, then they pull up some other tool and send a proposal with that data. Right? Where we get kind of spoiled in the world of Zoho, where it's like, oh, you need to make a document? Cool, just press this button, right? Document made, all the data in. But that's not like part and parcel of every CRM or kind of app building platform. So really nice how they just tie this into more and more applications, because it's one of the biggest value adds, at least for a lot of our customers in Zoho, is document generation and management. Alrighty, next story here, keeping in line with our document theme here. So Zoho Writer is introducing some new functionality for mail merge templates. So what they're doing is adding aggregation and repeating regions. It's at the point with Writer, it's such an advanced tool that these updates are very granular and very technical. But essentially what we're doing here is adding in the ability to create better versions of tabular data. Right. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll be able to see that here we've got like this table, this unsorted table that's got some different types of cars within different states and their prices. And here you're basically now able to group that up first by state, then by the type of car, and then it will list the individual models and prices. And then kind of repeat that for each state as you're going down the page. As well, we've got some like logic-based aggregate statements. So maybe you want to group things up by the type of revenue and show subtotals. This actually might be relevant for a client that we'll be working with very shortly. So if you're watching this, you know who you are. This might honestly make that part of our engagement much easier. So it's basically doing like subtotals and groupings there. And then more advanced transformations into like multiple different tables as need be. Any of these stand out for you in particular, Greg?
Yes. So the one that stands out for me in particular is, let's see, I believe it's I think it was example number 3 on this document, where it talks about the transforming data. So I think I'm understanding this section right, because they specifically talk about being able to have like, that data source of that big giant table, right? And then also triggering emails to then be sent out. And it sounds like the way they're describing it is that you could, if you click like in on the like view more for that section there, it talks about being able to set up, emailing and so on. I think you can, like, if you had a data source that had different emails in it, that you might be able to then trigger that email being sent out, which if we can figure out how to do that, that would be huge, because that's been a thing that has been difficult for us for a while, particularly like using something like Zoho Analytics, right? Where I have like maybe I'm B2B, right? And I sell to dealers who then have their own customers. And so in my database, I have all the customers of all of the dealers that I, sell to. And I want to send reports and I want to send a different, like the equivalent, like a customer statement kind of a thing. I want to send a report to each of my dealers containing just their customer data. And so I think this might be able to do something like that. It's, again, maybe I'm misunderstanding the wording, but if we can unlock that capability of like getting a giant data source and being able to automatically segment like recipients that are in that data, that would be huge.
Yeah, because it looks like here, I mean, like what it's essentially saying, if we're using that same kind of data set about states and car sales to that state, it's creating multiple documents, right? So like you've got an option to create one document that breaks it down by state, or have it create a document for each state and email it to the particular person for that state, which is very, very slick. Like there's a lot of use cases for that. Like a franchisor who onboards 10 new franchisees, 5 of them in territory A and territory B. So we send them to the territory support managers, right, automatically on this new, deal that we've closed. So huge value here. Writer just keeps getting better and better. They don't take days off over there on the Office Suite team. It seems just like constant updates coming out. Alrighty, next story here. Last one, I think, for Writer is going to be conditional signers in fillable templates. So what this is saying, in essence, is that now when we're setting up a signer field inside of a Writer document, we can actually make it so that more than one person can sign in one particular field. And it'll go through like a logical tree to determine the appropriate signers as you move forward. Is that kind of what you're getting from this as well, Greg?
Yeah. So essentially you can, exactly like you said, make it so that depending on, the parameters within the document, who needs to sign this, right? So I mean, I guess you could also have, fields for like, say you have something that involves a minor signing a document and you need a parent or guardian to also sign it as well. You can tie that, if age, if I've got that somewhere up further in the document, if age less than 18, then I also need signer B to sign with signer B as is
Got
the
it.
guardian or parent.
Did you just come up with that example now on the show, or did you think of that before? Because that was like a
No,
perfect example.
just now.
Wow,
Just now.
that was good. That was a really good example.
That's why I'm in charge of an improv group.
Yeah, it's almost like you run an entire improv group. Improv in technical solution design. That's a true gift. But anyways, there's a really nice one. Another example could be like if I sent out a proposal that had consulting and finance services, and maybe I wanted John, our director of finance, to also sign those proposals. We don't really need that for legal reasons, but like if I did want it, you could have those types of conditions coming through. Alrighty, so first story here in our little rapid fire round. This is more of a PSA because it's not really something you can control. It's an update/PSA. So this is an update from SalesIQ regarding how file attachments are going to be managed coming through the chat tool. So what they've done is essentially create a set of whitelisted and blacklisted content types that will be enforced for SalesIQ chats. Kind of the idea here being that, there's certain file types that just pose a explicit risk to security if one of your users happens to interact with them once they've been uploaded. So they're essentially going to be blocking those. They did include this little sheet here, classic Zoho, with an external sheet link of whitelisted extension types and blacklisted content types. Most of these, I can't imagine a scenario where you would want this to come through a SalesIQ chat. But if you did, for some reason, you can reach out to them and they will update the blacklist for you. Again, though, probably don't want to. Most of those are never going to come up in a support engagement through SalesIQ. So probably just leave these as is. This is just them tightening up some security options.
Yeah, it's like if you're at the point where you want that kind of file from somebody, you should probably be, like in a full engagement with them, not just on, your home page's chatbot,
Yep, absolutely. Next little quick update here. This seems minor, but it's actually really nice. So Zoho CRM has rolled out OAuth integration for email relays. Now you might be asking, what's an email relay? That is essentially a configuration option that will mean that when you send an email from CRM, it won't send it from the CRM mail servers. It will actually send it from Gmail, Outlook, 365 instead. The downside of this in the past is that it was very clunky to set up, right? So you had to go through and do all this authentication and map your domain and just a bit of a process. So a lot of people, when they would kind of start down the path of setting it up, would just go, you know what? I'm just going to do IMAP and save myself an hour of Google searching. Now what they did is essentially they're doing it via OAuth. So you would basically now the same flow as setting up IMAP, where you just sign into Google through Zoho. That authenticates it. You might have to give like a username and password at some point through the flow, but really not a big build out at all. I would recommend if you're going to go down this path, maybe consider doing an app specific password just to make sure that like your email relay doesn't break if you change yours. Probably not a bad idea, just future focused wise, but this is really nice. And email relay has always been a great feature, but almost no one touches it because it's complicated. This makes it easy. So kudos to you, Zoho. Nice update here.
I assume that with this update, like when you send an email through the CRM, then when somebody goes to click on like who sent it, it's actually going to just say from your email address, not like via Zoho
CRM sender.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that the idea?
Yeah. So this basically sidesteps using Zoho's mail servers at all, is my understanding on the relay side. So definitely a nice one and well worth taking a look at. And again, much, much easier to do now. It's no longer going to be a pain in the butt if you do want to set it up.
So then in that case, one follow-up question is, if you have your email set up this way through a relay, is there any change on like email limits?
Like interesting, like the mass. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if it's actually sent, because if it's not, because, the reason why Zoho, puts a lot of limits on those is because you're using their email servers, and they want to keep their servers clean. But if you're using a relay and so you're using your own email server, do those same, I assume that it probably does because their system probably does not check to see whether you're using IMAP or the relay. But Zoho, if you're listening,
yeah,
if that's a thing that, if you use relay, you're not beholden to the same email limits. That'd be good to know.
Yeah, lots of people would probably move over. All right, last story here. This is coming from CRM. So they are doing a revamp to the settings page in Zoho CRM. Now, I will admit, I was really gun shy when I read this because of the recent update to the books settings page, which I do not like very much. But this actually looks to make perfect sense. So these are not like a major rebuild of the settings tool. They're really moving a small section of things around. So a couple things are moving from users and control into general, company details, changing to company settings, right? Just kind of clarifying a couple things. A few more things being added into the security control settings. So they're kind of getting rid of the whole users and control section altogether. Moving around within the security and control to show more things on the front end. I really like that. Just saves you a click as you're getting into some of those settings. Zoho directory getting renamed to be the security control group, and then just moving under that section. Updating some of the channels as well. Looks pretty minor. So moving web forms over. That makes sense. A web form is a channel that someone gets in touch with you. So yeah, just lots of little minor updates here, kind of moving through the settings tab. Nothing too crazy, so it's not as significant of an update as that books change. But nonetheless, just some cleanup kind of across the board.
If you're like me, then it's always, I can never find what I'm looking for. Even if it's always in the same spot, I can never quite find what I'm looking for on the settings page, even the old version anyway. Usually because depending on the size of my browser window,
it's all moved.
Containers are in different spots. So every time I go to the settings, I just go up into the little search bar under the settings and just search for the thing that I'm trying to do, and then I just go to it there. So I don't even bother searching around for stuff anymore.
Big advocate for the search bar. Yeah, big advocate for the search bar.
So whatever changes you want to make.
Zoho,
yeah, I don't care. As long as you keep that search bar there, I'm happy.
Oh, this last update, they're removing the search bar. Alrighty, and now a long-forgotten section of the show roars back into relevance here as we move on into Cobra News.
Ooh.
Look at that.
So good.
You gotta love it. So longtime listeners know that, what was it? Must have been more than a year back, maybe 2 years back. At one of the Zoho campuses in India, they shared a video of them capturing and relocating a big old massive Cobra. Became a bit of a running joke on the show where occasionally we do a bit of Cobra news. And thank you to Raju, chief evangelist, I believe, for Zoho, for teeing up a little bit more Cobra news for us. So he is sharing this image here of, it looks like a local farm in India, kind of making a joke here about the tiny snakes that they see in Texas. That is a big Cobra. So we wanted to share it with you all as it brings us a lot of joy to be able to tuck in a little bit of Cobra news into the week.
It does. And boy, oh boy, all I can think of is I would be running so far in the other direction of that snake, I would never pose for a picture with it.
100%.
Also, I wonder if people in Texas are at all offended by...
I know everything's supposed to be bigger in Texas.
Everything's supposed to be bigger in Texas, but not the Cobras, I guess.
Not the Cobras. Alrighty, and with that little bit of Cobra news, we are now ready to get into our implementation of the week. Alrighty, so this is an implementation built out by myself, Bruno, and Eddie here on the Zenatta team. So this is a business email generator for onboarding contractors into CRM. So for this client, they are regularly hiring and onboarding new contractors to service pretty specific geographical regions for the service they provide. And a big pain in the butt for them was essentially every time they did it, they had to go in, set up an email address, make sure it's not a duplicate, add it to Office 365, set up a forwarding rule to their existing email, and then they were done. So we wanted to just build an automation to handle the majority of this process for them. So what we did, essentially set up a workflow when a contractor gets hired to essentially create a work email. And we try a couple different formats. So the first one we check is using the first name initial and the full last name. Then it's going to use that to search the CRM to confirm that no existing contractors already have it, right? This is the case of we hire a Jack Smith and they have a John Smith. So both of those would come out as J Smith. So we want to check against that. If there's a match, it'll try then the full first name and last name initial. If there's also a match on that, it'll try full first and full last names. And then if all of those are already in use, it will start like a number incrementer, right? So like J Smith 1, J Smith 2, J Smith 3. Once that has been confirmed to be unique, it will store it against that record in CRM, and then actually make an API call to their mail management system to add it as a email address with forwarding rule over to that contractor's personal address. So pretty nice one here for those that are doing contractor onboardings. It is one of those where like if you're adding like one a month, probably not worth the build out time. If you're adding like 10, 12, 15 a month, probably going to save you a lot of pain and suffering in terms of checking all of those duplicate email addresses. And then the fact that, and they're working with another developer, so we didn't hit like a 365 endpoint specifically. They spun up a separate endpoint. We shoot the data there, and then it writes it into their mail management system. But overall, this build just saves them a lot of time very regularly because, they are always hiring.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's few things worse than going into your system and seeing that you've got, duplicate contacts or accounts, something like that. And even worse if like, it's one thing if you've got duplicates and you've got like 4 empty duplicates and then 1 real one. But even worse is when you have 5 duplicates and they all have a little bit of different information on them. So
yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So saving that huge headache. Nice implementation there from our
absolutely. And shout out to Bruno and Eddie, the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, and with that, let us jump on over to our code share of the week.
All right, this code share comes from myself over at Club Z. It is a simple one, but a good one that one of our devs needed to utilize. Essentially, we had a related list in the CRM that had its subform rows in a certain order, and then we needed to add them to a new document. And the problem was we were doing a for each and going through and adding them, but it kept adding every new entry as a new top row. So the table ended up getting flipped, right? So every time you added a new data row, it would add it to the top. So our list ended up being inverted at the end. And so we wanted it in the same order that it was previously. So we just need to execute this list in the reverse order inside of a for each loop.
Got it.
So here, just a couple lines. Basically, all you have to do is get the size of your list and start a counter at the value of 1. And then inside of your for each loop, you create that... You create, a variable for it, like for each blank in array or whatever. You can put whatever you want in there because you're actually not going to use that because that's going to be going in the forward order. So instead, just the first thing that you do is you do your list.get and then your list size minus the current count. So that now gets you... So on the first iteration of the loop, it gets you the last element of the list. Then at the bottom of your for each loop, just increase the count by 1. and repeat. And so it just ends up grabbing the last element from the list on each iteration.
And I like this code share. It just feels very clever. It just feels like a very quick and clever way to sort this out, pun intended, like that, without having to do anything that crazy, right? I feel like I've solved for this before, but not in an elegant way. In a very brute force way is, I think, how I did it. So yeah, this is really pretty.
It's a little bit like juggling. You got one in the air, and you're just kind of passing it back and forth.
There we go. And then on with the show. Next thing here is going to be what's new on Zenatta.com. Alrighty, what is new on Zenatta is our Zoho Mail full product tutorial. This has been one that people have been asking us to update for a little while now. So over on Zenatta.com, we've got a link to that video over on YouTube, as well as a full written breakdown of really every single thing that we talked about while going through this application. I will tell you, there are some features in here that I wish were in Gmail. A lot of people probably know we're on Gmail for a couple reasons, mostly around calendar. But going through Mail, it's a solid application. And man, I wish we could just have streams. Streams are so nice. Just being able to make an email into a task or a communication internally just is really slick. And I'm surprised more Mail platforms haven't stolen that idea, honestly, because it's really clever and it would be great for internal collaboration.
Yeah. I actually use Zoho Mail in my my improv group. We have a Zoho instance for like running our ticketing system and things like that. And I use Zoho Mail and works great. So it's a great tutorial that Brett put together.
And well worth taking a look, and let us know what you think. And then last section of the week here, as always, let us jump into our tip of the week. Alrighty, so this is a tip here brought to us by the illustrious Wayne Martin, going through a couple quick actions for tracking and taking notes on calls within Zoho CRM. This is kind of a follow-up to our telephony webinar. We had a couple questions about kind of going through some follow-up actions, like more practically speaking, when you're actually using it, how does it all shake out? So he's kind of going through here how to set up follow-up calls, meetings, tasks. I think even showing how to log the result, which Zoho's always trying to hide in this UI as you are working in CRM. So just a quick video, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, a good one if you have like sales team or employees that are using CRM, just to share this with them, right? So that you don't have to explain it to each of them individually. Well worth taking a look at over here on the YouTube channel. And then as always, make sure to check out our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Zenatta. That's where this show goes. That's where all the show goes. That's where the webinars, the tips, basically a piece of content almost every day uploaded over here, all just about Zoho. So I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard us say it before, but if you do love Zoho and want to learn more, be sure to check out the YouTube channel, and I'm sure you will find something that is useful for you. I think with that, that's a wrap here for today. Thanks again for joining, Greg. Always a pleasure to have you around here for the show.
Me too. I am really sad that Brett wasn't here for the return of Cobra news. I know that must have been hard for him.
Deep. Yeah, it's going to cut deep as a cobra's fang. Do they have big fangs, or are they more like they choke you when they're that big?
No. They have fangs because they've got the hoods. Right, the king cobras, they're all about. It's the pythons. Pythons are the ones that coil you up.
I'm gonna need a snippet of that noise too. Freddie just has been compiling snippets on snippets of anything that can be taken out of context that we say here at Zenatta. So I demand that one shows up eventually.
Creating a cursed soundboard.
Yeah, absolutely, the demonetization soundboard. But with that, I guess we can wrap up here for the week. As always, if you want to get in touch with us over here at Zenatta, be sure to jump over to Zenatta.com and click on that big old green book a meeting link. We'd be happy to talk to you.
And be sure to visit zenatta.com/resources to check out the ultimate Zoho resource library, where we have links to the show notes for the CRM Zen Show here, as well as Azaz. And you can take a look at all of our different reviews of the Zoho apps. If you want to get our newsletter, head to zenatta.com/newsletter, where you can have all of this streamed weekly directly to your inbox.
And last but not least, as always, we appreciate when you like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday.